You're watching VNA News Bulletin, and here come our top stories.
President Trong meets UN Secretary-General Ban KiMoon in New York. Vietnam News Agency celebrates the 5th anniversary of its news service in Chinese. Exhibition highlights 10 singing cultural heritage.
President Trong arrived in New York on September 24th local time to attend the UN Summit for the adoption of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The same day, he met with UN Secretary-General Ban KiMoon.
During the UN Summit from September 25th to 28th, President Tsang is scheduled to attend the opening ceremony and deliver a speech at the plenary section. He will also meet with other country leaders and attend the Vietnam-US Business Dialogue on impacts of the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement on the Southeast Asian nation and the Vietnam-US trade. At his meeting with UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon, President Tsang said Vietnam is determined to foster sustainable development as its regular and long-term orientation. He also said Vietnam has been including the Sustainable Development Goals in national strategies and programs which always center around people. Ban Ki-moon highly valued Vietnam's active participation in the building of the post-2015 agenda and the UN Summit's agenda on ratifying the document. He voiced the belief that, as one of the 8 nations taking the lead in carrying out the One UN initiative and also standing out in the Millennium Development Goals realization, Vietnam will successfully achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Following attending the meeting between President Tsang and the UN leader, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Phạm Bình Minh witnessed the signing of a joint communique on establishing diplomatic ties between Vietnam and Comoros.
A meeting to review the 6-year implementation of the Vietnam Anti-Corruption Initiative program was held in Hanoi on September 25th. The event is held by the Government Inspectorate and the World Bank. After 4 rounds of implementation over the past 6 years, the initiative has acknowledged successful projects while actively expanding its scale to meet the demands of localities. The projects closely follow the anti-corruption principles at the grassroots levels, in line with the welfare of the people. A number of localities have released policies and solutions to prevent corruption, improve their experience, and ensure the projects are sustainable, even after the initiative ends. At the conference, delegates discussed and shared experience in fighting corruption and highlighted the role of the public in the process. World Bank Country Director in Vietnam, Victoria Qua stressed that corruption poses great risk to Vietnam's current and future achievements. As such, its prevention is a central goal for the entire country. The most positive effect of the initiative has been raising awareness and encouraging public involvement in combating corruption. The Vietnam News Agency leader has said the agency will further improve its Chinese language news service to better serve its audiences.
General Director of the Vietnam News Agency Nguyen made a statement at a ceremony in Hanoi on September 25th to celebrate 5 years since the launch of the agency's news service in Chinese. News article in the Chinese language officially launched on the agency's website www.vietnamplus.vn and e-portal vnanet.vn in 2010. A year later, the news bulletin in Chinese was officially broadcast on Vietnam News Agency's TV channel, VNews. Chinese language news, in both text and video forms, has quickly become an important external relations channel and a means to expand exchanges and understanding, as well as promote and strengthen relations between Vietnam and other countries, especially China. It also helps foreign and Chinese friends understand Vietnam's reform path along with its foreign policy of peace, independence, self-reliance, multilateralization and diversification, and its consistent policy of developing stable, long-term and healthy relations with China. the publications introduce and promote the image, land and people of heroic Vietnam in the fight for national liberation, its diligent and creative national development, and proactive and friendly approach to international integration. Addressing the event, Phạm Văn Linh, deputy head of the party Central Committee's Commission for Popularization and Education, said the debut of the Chinese language news contributed greatly to the enhancement of information for external services of the Vietnam News Agency and the country at large. Chinese ambassador to Vietnam, Hong Seong-yung, said the Vietnam News Agency acts as one of the most influential means of communications in Vietnam. He added that the agency's news bulletins in Chinese help the Chinese people to know more about Vietnam.
Socioeconomic developments in Ho Chi Minh City in the past 9 months continues to progress across fields. Our reporters bring you details.
The Municipal People's Committee reported the gross domestic product was estimated at nearly $28.6 billion, an annual rise of more than 9%. As of September 21st, the city has granted new investment licenses to 404 projects, up nearly 30% year-on-year. Exports to the US, Japan, the EU, Australia, Singapore and Russia have expanded, reducing dependence on China. Since the beginning of this year, the city has welcomed 3.2 million international tourist arrivals, an annual rise of 5%. Chairman of the Municipal People's Committee Lê Hoàng Quân attributed the outcomes to the effective implementation of measures to improve the local business climate, curb inflation, and overcome capital obstacles for enterprises. He underlined stable economic development as a top priority for the city in the remaining months of this year.
Vietnam's tuna exports have rapidly increased in recent years, and the country still holds potential for more growth in this area. Insiders have said in the context of fierce competition facing the sector. Tuna exports have been the third biggest earner in Vietnam's seafood industry, with a value of $400 million in 2014. Behind only shellfish and shrimp. However, Vietnam's tuna products are facing tough competition in markets without signed free trade agreements, such as the EU and the US. Experts said Vietnam would increase its tuna revenue if proper measures were implemented to boost fishing productivity and exports in the future. They said if fishermen and enterprises increase their output to 100,000 tons per year, Vietnam would be capable of competing with the world's top tuna exporters. They urged the need to balance the interests of the enterprises and fishermen to ensure the sustainable development of tuna fishing. Vietnam is the 10th biggest tuna exporter, with 45.5% being processed products. In the first 8 months of this year, tuna exports reached $300 million. The Ho Chi Minh City Computer Association hosted the 2015 Information and Communications Technology or ICT Outlook Seminar to discuss solutions to urban transportation.
At the event, participants agreed that IT application is indispensable and necessary to resolve transport issues in large cities. Businesses operating in the ICT field also introduced technologies for intelligent transport systems, traffic management, and smart internet for modern cities. According to participants, a transport control system based on modern technologies and synchronized connections will contribute to removing current pressures on urban transportation. Ho Chi Minh City is now home to 877 traffic lights and 383 surveillance camera systems, yet most are operated independently, negatively affecting the city's transportation.
The Prime Minister has approved a master plan for building the Mong Cái Border Gate Economic Zone in the northeast province of Quảng Ninh by 2030.
The master plan is expected to be a drive to make a zone a proactive and key economic growth pole in the north. The economic zone is set to include a tax-free area, industrial zones, a financial center, an administrative center, a residential area, and other functional areas. In addition, it will accommodate modern and comprehensive facilities with excellent service networks and diversified tourism products. Once operational, it will improve resident living standards while playing an important role in defending Vietnam's sea and island sovereignty.
The Child-Friendly City initiative has been announced in Ho Chi Minh City at the Roundtable Conference between the Municipal People's Committee and the United Nations Children's Fund.
The initiative aims to address problems faced by children in cities such as poverty, being abused and exploited. In order to implement the initiative, the city will have to carry out all support contents to become a child-friendly city in all three important aspects: sustainable economic, social and environmental development. Based on experience from cities all over the world, delegates at the conference said Ho Chi Minh City needed to take advantages to achieve standards of a child-friendly city. According to Đặng Hoa Nam, head of the Department of Child Care and Protection under the Ministry of Labour, Invalids and Social Affairs, Ho Chi Minh City has done a good job in taking care of children in the past years. He hoped the city would continue putting children in the center of socio-economic development strategies to better the life quality of children in the future.
The government has approved a master project to transfer from a one-dimensional to a multi-dimensional poverty measurement approach for 2016-2020.
Measuring poverty will encompass 5 factors, including living conditions, income levels, access to education and healthcare, access to information, and access to insurance and social assistance. Accordingly, a household that lacks more than half of its basic needs will be considered critically poor. Households that cannot meet between 1/3 and a half of their needs will be regarded as multi-dimensional poor households. The statistics will also help monitor poverty reduction results and evaluate poverty reduction policies to make timely adjustments if needed. According to the Ministry of Labour, Invalids and Social Affairs, the poverty rate among households nationwide was cut from 14.2% in 2010 down to 5.8 to 6% by the end of 2014. The figure is expected to fall below 5% in late 2015. In 2014 alone, a total of $1.65 billion was allocated for poverty alleviation efforts.
The culture of tent singing of the Tây, Nung and Thai ethnic minorities is being featured at an exhibition in the northern mountainous province of Tuyên Quang. The exhibition is part of the 5th Tent Singing Festival.
Highlights of the feature are objects, photos and painting featuring the values of the cultural heritage of Tây, Nung and Thai ethnic groups in 13 northern mountainous provinces. Tent singing is a unique combination of music and song, traditionally accompanied by a handmade gourd lute called đàn tính or tính tàu. It is believed to have been handed down from their god, belonging to a mysterious world to which only ông Then and bà Then can contact. During rituals, ông Then and bà Then sing and play a musical instrument at the same time while presenting offerings to God, representing the ethnic community's contact with God and asking him for things such as good health, bumper crops, happiness, and a long life. Closely linked with the spiritual life of ethnic minority groups who often use ceremonial offerings to treat illnesses, tent singing is seen as therapy together with medicine, helping ease the worries of patients and their families. The Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism has approved a plan to compose a dossier seeking UNESCO recognition of tent singing of the Tây, Nung and Thai ethnic groups as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity.
And that has wrapped up our daily bulletin. Thank you for tuning in and goodbye from Hanoi.